Caleb Williams played fantastic against the Green Bay Packers, but he's going to have to repeat that performance if they're going to take down the favorite in the NFC. That and more on today's edition of Locked On NFL.
The new Locked On NFL. The madman Tyler Rowland is your double shot of NFL espresso with the Locked On local experts on every major story. Get ready. Rowland is revving up. The new Locked On NFL starts now. Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Football fans, welcome in to the Locked On NFL podcast, bringing you a double dose of the NFL's biggest stories with help from our local experts that know your favorite teams like no one else. I am your host, the madman, Tyler Rowland, joined today by Locked On NFL expert, the data queen, Michelle Majuk. On today's episode, we are going to talk about some big coordinator changes in the NFL in Philadelphia and in Los Angeles, but we got to talk about these matchups in the divisional round weekend. We're going to talk about the battles on defense in the AFC, but we got to talk about Caleb Williams against the Rams in the NFC to start. Before we dive in, do want to thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen, and thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. It's Crossover Thursday still for our playoff teams, and Crossover Thursday is always presented by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code Locked On NFL to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Michelle, the idea of today's show is to rank the playoff games that we are most excited to watch. And one thing that we both agree on here is the best games are in the NFC. And I do got to tell you, I think the most exciting matchup of them all is the Chicago Bears against the Los Angeles Rams, and obviously for multiple reasons. Number one, I think the Rams are the #1 team in the NFL. I still think they're my favorite, but the Bears are very exciting. But you actually like the other matchup in the NFC between the 49ers and the Seahawks, right?
I do. I mean, I'm also a 49ers fan, so I'm a little bit biased there. And I think it should be a great divisional game. I mean, we get the rematch from a couple weeks ago. That game was kind of a letdown, just a 13-3 game. Do I expect this game to still be very low scoring? Sure. And definitely with this Rams-Bears game, this is the one game of the week you could see being a very high scoring game. But it's going to be like, can the Bears keep a game close from quarters 1 through 3? Like, do they always have to come back? How big of a lead do the Rams have to have going into the fourth quarter to feel comfortable? Because the Packers were up 21-3, 21-6 entering the fourth quarter. So like, it should be fun, but I would love to, like, what takes it till the fourth quarter for them to turn it on? This is what's infuriating. I want to see them do it all game long.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. And one of the things that helps them is their coaching staff did make some great adjustments in the second half, and that was kind of the talking point for my guy Lauren Cox from Locked On Bears after the game.
The Chicago Bears outcoached the Green Bay Packers in the second half thanks to some really smart halftime adjustments by both Ben Johnson and Dennis Allen. But in the second half, they come out and force Packer punts on the first 3 drives of the second half. They also hold them to a field goal that gets missed, and then another punt after that. And all of a sudden, it was a new Bears defense, and they gave this Bears offense hope and some breathing room and enough time to slowly climb back into this game with field goals and then eventually touchdowns that help you win it.
It's funny, you pointed out what I think is kind of the big storyline in this game is the two weaknesses of these teams kind of go with each other. They meld together because the Bears seem to have slow starts and then they kick it in at the end, but the Rams seem to get off to good starts and then they kind of let people creep back in. I think the Rams have to find a way to either get out to a bigger start, or it might be better for the Rams and the Bears if it's like closer early, because then they can hit that turbo booster at the end, you know what I'm saying? But I still do trust the Rams the most in this matchup. I trust Sean McVay, and I think whatever happens to the Bears right now is the season was still a good outcome. It was still a great season. That's not the case for the Rams, and I think that sort of desperation is just human nature to be in the back of your mind. So I think the Rams do find a way to win this one.
I don't know, playing in Chicago in this cold.
It's going to be cold. It's going to be really cold in the Midwest this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is going to be a close game. And yeah, maybe the Rams get a lead. I mean, they got a big lead against the Panthers to start, right? And they let the Panthers come back. I thought they let the Panthers stay in that game way too long. I don't think they've looked that great of a team over the last month, right? They lose to the Seahawks, they lose to the Falcons. Yeah, they win in week 18 to the Cardinals, but everyone beats the Cardinals, right? And I just thought that game, they kept it way too close against the Panthers. I thought they would have showed up more than that. So if this Bears team can figure out a way to control Puka and Devontae Adams, it could get really, really interesting. And again, they have to have more than a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter to feel good about beating the Bears.
Yeah, the Iceman cometh, as they say in Chicago. But I'm looking at the Rams. Can they run the football? And with the Packers, they had one run in the second half that went for more than 1 yard. So the Bears just eliminated the run game in the second half, and the Packers didn't really have anywhere to go. They couldn't sustain drives. The Rams' run game has been really, really, as of late, if you look past, starting from week 13, 152, 249, 159, 124, 115, 143, but 116 against the Panthers last week. And yeah, that sounds good. 116, they went for over 100 yards, but they couldn't run the ball at the end to salt the clock away, and that got the Packers too. So I'm kind of looking at the run game here. Who's going to be able to run the football in the second half? And Jared Verse, where are you? Jared Verse was on a milk carton in that game against the Panthers, so I want to see him have a better game. And with Ozzie Trapillo, the rookie left tackle of the Chicago Bears, being out for this game with injury now, that's an opportunity where the Rams edge rusher should be able to take advantage. But again, Michelle's most anticipated game is the other matchup in the NFC. And in that game, I'm wondering how the San Francisco 49ers defense chooses to attack. And that plan of attack is what our guys over at Locked On 49ers talked about this week.
Well, if I'm the 49ers and I know I'm playing against Sam Darnold, a guy who definitely is prone to turning the ball over, first and foremost, I want to take something away. And if you go back to week 18, I think that was one of the bigger issues. The 49ers defense, they were on their heels the entire game. Whether there's a run or a pass, it's just, hey, we could run and we're running that wheel and picking up 6 yards a carry. Then, okay, we want to throw the ball and there's plenty of time. And he's able to, get to his spots. And even then, they still only scored 13 points. But as you get into this game, take something away. I'm either going to take away the run or the pass. And I'd rather take away the run in this game and force Sam Darnold to beat you.
I have to be honest with you. I agree with that philosophy, but I'm just not certain that the 49ers can take away the run in that way. I think the Eagles really let them off the hook in that game because their passing offense just couldn't do anything. And we'll talk about, changes that the Eagles are making because that pass offense couldn't do anything. But San Francisco's defense, and this is a schematic thing, that's the way that Robert Saleh wants to play defense. He wants to have four-man fronts. He's not going to press the line of scrimmage with linebackers. He's not going to blitz a ton either. They gave up 140 rushing yards to the Eagles, 180 to the Seahawks in the game that they just played. I think they do need to take away the run first and foremost. I just don't think that they can.
Yeah, I don't know if they're capable of doing it. And yeah, the Seahawks in week 18, they only put up 13 points, but that run game was able to do whatever they wanted. And they just weren't able to put Sam Darnold in tough situations. And that's how you're going to beat Sam Darnold and the Seahawks team. And do not expect a pass rush like you just brought up. They don't have the people for it. They don't have any pass rushers. They cannot get there. And really, that's unfortunate because if you can get in Sam Darnold's head and put pressure on him, that's where he falls apart. But they have to make Sam Darnold do more in this game. That's how they're going to win. You cannot make it so easy for him. And the offense, they finally started to click. And then Christian McCaffrey had the drop that turned into the interception right at the goal line. Who knows how that game would have changed. I do expect this to be another low-scoring game, but they could have to feed Christian McCaffrey more. 8 carries in that Week 18 game, not enough. Now you have George Kittle hurt. I think Jake Tonjes can step in. He's been pretty good stepping in for Kittle when he's been out this year. But hopefully Ricky Pearsall can finally play a game. We'll see. But, yeah, they got to lean on Christian McCaffrey more in this matchup more than they did last time.
And you know what? Credit to Robert Saleh and Kyle Shanahan. All of the stuff that we're saying with the injuries and all that, that is a feather in their cap for coaching. But I'm sorry, at some point the bill comes due, right? At some point the magic has to end. At some point all of that stuff is going to catch up to him. If it doesn't in this game, I'm going to be floored. But I'll be honest, I haven't really trusted the 49ers all year, and I've been wrong about my level of trust. But now we're into the best weekend of football. The last 8 teams left. I just can't trust the 49ers. Give me the Seahawks to advance in this one.
I'm going to take the 49ers.
Can't do it.
I know. I don't feel amazing about it, but I did feel like everything had to go their way in that week 18 game. The ball just kept bouncing their way. Sam Darnold, again, wasn't forced to do much. And it was still a close game. So I think the 49ers win the game, low scoring game. But as long as the defense doesn't implode, I think they'll be okay.
And it's going to be quite a battle. I literally cannot wait to watch this football game. But now we need to go over to the AFC where the defenses are the story. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us take a look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communication is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O. The smarter way to run your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. I love how simple Quo makes everything. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It's no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNFL. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNFL. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Today's episode is also brought to you by the ultimate QB football legend. All right, folks, have you ever thought about maybe being a franchise quarterback yourself? Maybe getting drafted first overall by the Las Vegas Raiders? Well, now you can. There's a mobile game just for you. It's called Ultimate QB Football Legend. In this game, you step into the cleats of a #1 draft pick quarterback, and it's your job to lead your team to greatness and help turn a failing franchise into a dynasty. It's the #1 QB career mode game in mobile app stores. You sign contracts, you train and upgrade yourself, you build chemistry with your teammates, give input to your GM on roster moves, and you actually play games in 2D. You'll deal with the ups and downs of a QB career. Ultimate QB is totally free to play, has no ads, and works 100% offline. Just head to ultimate-qb.com. That's ultimate-qb.com, or search for Ultimate QB in your app store. And I've got something special for you guys. When you use the promo code LOCKEDON in all caps, you're going to get a free boost in the game store to start your career. It's Ultimate QB Football Legend. QB1. It's your legacy. All right, Michelle, let's continue today's edition of Locked On NFL. We talked about the matchups in the NFC, and we both agree they're the best two matchups. I like that Rams-Bears matchup a little bit better. Michelle got her eye on that 49ers Seattle Seahawks matchup, but we also both agree that the lesser two games happen to be in the AFC, and it's no surprise that the AFC games are the first games of the day, with the Bills and the Broncos, and then the Patriots and the Texans. But no matter which matchup you're looking at, the defense is what is most important. And Michelle, I know that you're looking at a big-time defensive matchup between the Patriots and the Texans as your next most anticipated game.
Yeah, it could either be like the worst game ever or a really good game, right? Because both of these defense can really stifle the offenses, and both of the offenses, I don't know how much I trust them, right? Like the Patriots offense struggled in this game against the Chargers, but because Justin Herbert and that offense could do absolutely nothing, I don't really know what to take away from that game. I don't know if I feel more confident in the Patriots or not, just because I mean, the pass rush was getting to Justin Herbert nonstop, but was that just the Chargers being the Chargers and their offensive line being a disaster? I don't know. And with the Texans offense, I mean, they had 7 points until that fourth quarter. It was a close game, and then all of a sudden it just blew up, right, with the defense blowing up there. The Texans defense is so legit. And if they can get Drake May into some sticky situations, I could see the Texans pulling away with a win here.
Well, one of the things that's going to be interesting is we talk about all the sacks that the Patriots were able to get on the Chargers, but one thing that impressed my guy Nick Cattles from Locked On Patriots was the coverage in the back end for the Patriots as well.
And here's the perfect thing about this game from this defense. on this night. Not only did you get pressure, not only did you smoke the Chargers offensive line and dominate like you should have in the trenches, but you also saw some of the best coverage from the Patriots secondary that we have seen all year long.
Now, it'll be interesting to see. There's a coverage matchup I'm looking at. Christian Gonzalez got banged up in that game. Is he going to be good to go? Are we going to see him out there? And then Nico Collins, I can't lie to you, Michelle. I kind of went crazy after that game on Monday night. He got concussed early in the game, and they let him stay in. They didn't even check on him. And then when he gets concussed later in the game, he's getting carted off because it was so bad. Yeah, it's probably because he was concussed earlier in the game and you let him stay in. I thought that was despicable by the independent neurologist or the independent spotter, whoever is in charge of that. He was so clearly concussed early in the game, and they didn't even check on him. I just felt so bad for him that it's not likely that Nico Collins is going to play in this game. So if you take away Gonzalez and you take away Collins, it kind of cancels things out. So I wonder how that will go. But the thing is, on the other side of the ball, like you're talking about, I don't know about either of the offenses, but I think I do know pretty confidently that I trust the Texans defense more than I trust the Patriots defense, especially coming off a dominant performance like my guy John Hickman from Locked On Texans talked about.
The Houston Texans defense held the Pittsburgh Steelers to under 200 total yards. Okay, the Houston Texans defense held and contained the Pittsburgh Steelers passing offense to 2.9 yards per pass, 3.5 yards per carry, 0-2 in the red zone, 2 turnovers, 4 sacks, 2 scores, by the way, and shout out to Sheldon Rankins.
I just feel so conflicted here because, like I said, I trust the Texans defense more, but I trust Drake May way more than I trust CJ Stroud right now. That was like one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen in a playoff win in my entire life. And going into New England, Vrabel's going to have those guys ready to go. It's tough for me, but I think I lean New England in this one.
Yeah, Stroud loses 2 fumbles, has an interception, and still
terrible interception too. He's so scared, Michelle. His feet, he's got happy feet in the pocket right now. It's not good.
Yeah, I mean, but at least that was also a game on the road in a hostile environment. So he'll be, he has that under his belt. Christian Kirk could do whatever he wanted. I guess we'll see if he can keep doing that. And at least that, Collins, I fully expect him not to play either, but at least they did take Jaden Higgins there. He's a similar type of player to Nico Collins, obviously not at his level at all, but still. They have other playmakers use Dalton Schultz more. And then the running game got going last week with both Woody Marks and Nick Chubb being very efficient. So if they can continue to do that, I think they can bring it home. But it should be a very close game. And it could just come down to, how good can Drake May be more than CJ Stroud. But it's not like May had a good performance last week either. So another low-scoring game probably.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. And you're right, Drake May and the conversation around Drake May is one to watch. And something that I've been pointing out the last couple of weeks that does make me even maybe more concerned for the Patriots, making me think about my prediction there, is their run defense has not been great. I mean, the last 2 games, 87 yards to the Chargers, but we know that they just completely eliminated them. 63 against the Dolphins, but that's the Dolphins, and Achane got banged up in that game. But prior to that, they had allowed over 164 yards 3 straight weeks. The Bills, the Ravens, the Jets ran for 164 yards on the Patriots. So if what you're talking about with Woody Marks and Nick Chubb, if the Texans can get the run game going against the Patriots, like some teams have been able to do in the last 5 weeks or so, then that could make it even more difficult for the Patriots to get things going. But outside of that, I got to tell you, Michelle, the next game in the AFC would be my most anticipated game. Josh Allen going into Denver, playing their defensive front. Denver's run game is not great, and the Bills' passing defense is actually much better than their run defense. So I actually do think that the Bills' defense is kind of set up perfectly to make it tough on Denver. I'm going to trust Josh Allen here. Maybe I'm just voting with my heart in a sense. I want to see Josh Allen in the Super Bowl. The other 3 teams, the Texans, the Patriots, I'm going to admit my bias. I do not want to see the Houston Texans or Mike Vrabel in the Super Bowl. I'm just being upfront and honest to the congregation. I'm telling you, chat, I'm going with my heart on this one. Give me Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. And again, not only because of that, but the Bills' pass defense is the better part of their defense, and the Broncos can't really run the ball to take advantage of the weakness of the Bills' defense. So I'll lean Buffalo in that one.
Yeah, RJ Harvey is just really not getting it done on the ground. His efficiency has been terrible all year long, but now that he's been the full-time starter with J.K. Dobbins out, it's only gotten worse. You got to trust Josh Allen more than Bo Nix. And Bo Nix this year has been all over the place. They have the Bills have the number one pass defense, so I think they'll be able to shut down Cortland Sutton. You just have to eliminate huge plays from like Troy Franklin or something like that. I think they can have it under control. The Broncos defense is very good, but Josh Allen just kind of eliminates really good defenses, right? Like he's going to figure out ways to come through with it. Hopefully James Cook can have a little bit better of a game, even though it's another really tough matchup. But even with there being depleted weapons for Allen, you just have to trust he's going to come through and win this game.
No, you do. And listen, watching Josh Allen get the absolute crap beat out of him last week against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and with the Jacksonville Jaguars having the number one ranked run defense in the entire NFL. I mean, I know that the Broncos run defense is like the second best in the NFL, but if they beat the best run defense, they could probably have a little more success against the second one. And the odds of Josh Allen getting kicked to crap like he did against Jacksonville are just lower, even though the Broncos, again, have a very... It's like the Broncos defense is almost very similar to the Jacksonville Jaguars defense in that way. They stop the run. They get pressure on the quarterback. They're physical. So it's almost like, to me, Josh Allen is warmed up now. You know what I mean? Like he's seen it. I think Josh Allen has a better game earlier, and I am going to roll with the Broncos in this one. But two teams that were eliminated from the playoffs, the Eagles and the Chargers, made big-time changes to big coordinator positions, things that they needed to do. We'll talk about those big changes right now. Do want to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Home Chef. As the new year gets going, a lot of people are trying to simplify their routines, and dinner is a big one. Between busy work days, cold winter nights, packed schedules, having an easy, reliable dinner plan makes a huge difference. That's where Home Chef comes in. Home Chef takes the stress out of cooking by delivering fresh, pre-portioned ingredients right to your door with easy-to-follow recipes that actually taste great. They're rated #1 by users of other meal kits for quality, convenience, value, taste, and recipe ease. It's easy to see why. Meals come ready to fit your schedule. 30-minute recipes, oven-ready trays, and quick lunches. It saves time and money. Home Chef customers save an average of $86 per month on groceries. For a limited time, Home Chef is offering our listeners 50% off your first box, free shipping, and free dessert for life. Go to homechef.com/lockedon. Once again, that's homechef.com/lockedon for 50% off your first box, free shipping, and again, free dessert for life. Must be an active subscriber to receive dessert. Once again, go to homechef.com/lockedon. Today's episode is also brought to you by Indeed. If you've ever hired someone who looked good on paper but wasn't the right fit, you know how important that is. When you want candidates who truly match what you're looking for, trust Indeed sponsored jobs. Hiring? Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. If I needed to hire someone for this show, which I don't because I love my co-host, I'd go straight to Indeed and be very specific about what I needed. Real experience, not just a resume buzzword. Spend more time interviewing candidates who check all the boxes with less stress, less time, and more results using Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners of this show get a $75 sponsored job credit to give your job the premium placement it deserves at Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL. Just go to Indeed.com/LockedOnNFL right now and support the show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, do it the right way with Indeed. All right, Michelle, let's continue today's edition of Locked On NFL. Again, thank you for making Locked On NFL your first listen. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. We talked about Indeed there and hiring and people who check the boxes on paper but aren't a great fit. And I would say that's the case with Kevin Patullo, who was fired by the Philadelphia Eagles as their offensive coordinator. And my guy, Louis DiBiase, talked about the move on his show this week.
Sigh of relief, everybody. The nightmare is over. Kevin Patullo officially fired as Philadelphia Eagles offensive coordinator and play caller after one miserable season. Nick Sirianni made the exact same mistake he did in 2023, promoting from within after a Super Bowl run with an inexperienced play caller, and it's the biggest reason the Eagles wasted a prime opportunity to compete for another Super Bowl in 2025. To me now, the focus for offensive coordinator and play caller should be all about evolving Jalen Hurts' game inside the pocket and getting his mobility back on track. I really like the idea of Mike McDaniels, the former Miami Dolphins head coach, to be the OC if he does not get a head coaching job. This team needs to find ways to get easier yards on first and second down, scheming players open in the passing game, the quick passing game, run after the catch opportunities, the screen game, getting Jalen to utilize the middle of the field. That should be the focus.
And I agree with Louis. They need to be more diverse on the offensive side of the ball. There is a lot of lack of motion and shifts and things like that, which if you're unaware, those sorts of things are information gatherers for offenses. That's what teams like to do to bring, different, okay, we're going to motion over here. They're in man. They're in zone. We're going to shift our formation. They're going to change their front and change how they're lining up in their gaps. And I think that's stuff at home that maybe the casual fan wouldn't notice on hand that we kind of see. And the Eagles didn't do a lot of that. So they're not helping Jalen Hurts by giving him information pre-snap that other quarterbacks have access to. But we've also heard a lot of chatter this week. LaShawn McCoy, a former Eagles player, said that he heard that Jalen Hurts can't execute those kinds of things and that they had to simplify and dumb things down. And then Kevin Patullo is releasing through Ryan Fitzpatrick that, they were too hard on me. I tried my best, this and that. And listen, I know that it's a hard job being in Philadelphia, but at the end of the day, you have the most expensive offense in the NFL, and the guys before you got the job done with the same quarterback. So to me, those kind of, it wasn't my fault, it's Jalen, that kind of rings on deaf ears. If all of the students fail the test, the teacher was the problem, not the student. So I think that the Eagles would do well to make a change, and I do blame Kevin Patullo.
Yeah, it's hard not to blame him, right? We saw Kellen Moore thrive here. We saw Shane Steichen thrive here. Mm-hmm. Now, we also did see Brian Johnson not do well here. So it seems like every other coordinator, right? So
yeah, right.
Another new coordinator for Jalen Hurts. We'll see how it works out. I think Brian Daboll could be a really, really interesting, great fit here. I don't expect him to get another head coaching job. He was a really good offensive coordinator. I mean, obviously with Josh Allen, but he even got a good year out of Daniel Jones, right? And then with Jackson Dart, he was thriving.
Running quarterbacks.
Yeah. Mobile, dual threat quarterbacks. And I'm sorry, that Giants offense did get worse without Daboll. It felt like Dart kind of fell off just a little bit. So I would like Daboll in this offense. I think that would be great. And I think it would make AJ Brown happy too, because the one thing Daboll likes to do as a play caller is hyper target a certain wide receiver, whether it be Stephon Diggs or Malik Neighbors. So I think that would make AJ Brown pretty happy.
Now, I agree with you on all of those schematic points. I think they're sage. I just wonder personality. We know that Brian Daboll is little dust on the bottle. Brian Daboll, a little rough around the edges. He can be a little fiery, and I could see some fighting between him, Nick Sirianni, AJ Brown, all that stuff. But I think that is a great schematic fit, and I'm not convinced that Mike McDaniel won't get a head coaching job. I think with 9 openings, whether it's the Browns or the Titans or the Cardinals, I think Mike McDaniel has a pretty good job, better job than Brian Daboll, in my opinion, of getting another head coaching opportunity. So curious to see how that shakes out there. But I keep making this point, Michelle. I know that you can't fire Nick Sirianni a year after he won the Super Bowl. I understand that. But if you got to have a head coach level offensive coordinator for your team to hit its potential, then why don't you just hire that guy so you don't have to keep replacing them all the time? You know what I mean? I just think there's an argument for that. But the other coordinator spot that became open for a playoff team this week is the offensive coordinator position for the Los Angeles Chargers, where the Chargers finally make the move and get rid of Greg Roman. And honestly, Michelle, it might have been us on this show a couple of years ago saying, why are they hiring this guy in the first place? And my guy Chris from Locked On Chargers talked about the move.
The Chargers have officially fired offensive coordinator Greg Roman, giving their fans something they desperately needed: hope. After the Chargers' pathetic 3-point offensive performance on Sunday in their latest playoff loss, the Chargers had to make a big move, and credit to Jim Harbaugh, who decided to let go of his longtime friend Greg Roman for the betterment of this team, because through 2 seasons, the Chargers have put up 15 points in their 2 playoff games, and it just wasn't working. And Greg Roman had a lot working against him, including the loss of their great tackles, but he was unable to evolve. He was unable to adapt, and now it is very clear that he was going to be unable to do what this team needed him to do in the playoffs. And now the Chargers have one of the most desirable offensive coordinator spots available. You have your quarterback, you have 2 great tackles, you have a group of young weapons on cheap contracts, and you have the most salary cap in the league. To make sure that you don't miss who the next candidates could be, check out the Locked On Chargers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Oh my God. My guy, Daniel. I'm so sorry I called you Chris. Thinking about Chris Clark from Locked On Chiefs, getting my AFC West host all mixed up. Shout out my guy, Daniel Wade from Locked On Chargers. Go check him out. But this move had to be made. Greg Roman has been one of the worst offensive coordinators in the NFL for a long time. Like, this is, folks, this is where relationships in the NFL can drive you down the wrong path. Jim Harbaugh loves Greg Roman. They were together in San Francisco. They know each other well. He was with his brother, John Harbaugh, in Baltimore. There is clearly a relationship there, but this is where hiring your buddies can really hurt your team. Everybody with any knowledge of the NFL knew Greg Roman was nowhere near one of the better offensive coordinators, and they may have had injuries up front, but they have so much talent with the weapons that they had, the running backs that they had. There is no reason for the Chargers offense to only score 3 points in that game against the Patriots defense. Like, this is a coaching problem, and good on Jim Harbaugh for being able to fire one of his friends and correct that issue, even if he wasted a couple of years hanging with his buddy.
Yeah, they needed to move on. Now, I do think it's so hard to decide who to put blame on, right? Like, at the end of the year, you had the broken hand on Herbert. Then in the middle of the year, you already lost Rashawn Slater. He was long gone. And then Joe Alt, was all over the place with injuries. And then you lost him the second half of the year. But I mean, without those tackles and your interior offensive line being in shambles as well, it's hard to do much. But yeah, Greg Roman was always not a good situation there. His offense is just so uninspiring, right?
Yes.
Go with someone that's a little bit more creative, get these guys open. I think they have to move on from Keenan Allen too. I think he's kind of done. And they maybe take a risk here with one of the young, maybe they'll go with the quarterback coach of the Rams, just go right across the building, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but Nathan Steele.
It's Shellhouse. You know what's funny about that, Michelle? Peter Schrager from ESPN is one of the most plugged in insiders in the entire NFL, and he went on ESPN and called him like Nate Shieldhaas or something or it was even worse than that. Shieldhaas, it wasn't even close, and everybody's in the comments who knows the guy's name. And I had somebody reach out to me and went to high school with Nate Shieldhaas and was like, that's not how you say his name. Because I was like, wait a minute, Peter Schrager is saying it that way. I'm probably wrong about how I'm pronouncing it. But no, it turns out Schrager was way off as well. So it's a tough name to pronounce is my point.
It is, but I think he could be it'd be an interesting guy to look into. Maybe Cliff Kingsbury, if he doesn't get any head coaching opportunities. I don't know why he would, but I'm sure he'll get some interviews. But Kingsbury may be an option as well. There's guys out there that are much more, exciting than the Greg Romans of the world.
No, you're 100% right. And another team, you know who I would be really interested in them stealing from? The Broncos. Their passing game coordinator, quarterback coach, offensive coordinator, Davis Webb, is a guy who's getting a lot of buzz right now. He's a former NFL quarterback, played in college, all of that. Taking him not only gives you kind of a younger, more creative option, but you also steal from a division rival, and you could get some inside secrets on some of your division rivals from a different perspective. So I think that could be a pretty good pairing as well. But with that being said, a lot of great games this weekend. I'm going to do my Madman's Moneymaker tomorrow and go over my best bets with these games as well. So make sure that you're here for that. But that's going to do it for us today, folks. I am your host, the Madman, Tyler Rowland, for my co-host, Michelle Majuk, as we tell you every single episode. Thanks for tuning in. Stay safe out there.
Bye, y'all.